Hours were cut. I was the only one here. Everybody else was gone, even the cleaning lady. So I was manager, cleaning lady, whatever, anything that had to be done. I had to shelf books and I had to do it all. But you know, I didn't even mind that. So, and I was still working at minimum wage. No new items were added to the collection. I mean, it was really a sad time. I think the only items that were added at that time were items that the Friends of the Library purchased for the branch. But then there was a referendum on the ballot and we got a library tax and everything changed. We were getting books again. We made the transition from vinyl records to cassettes, and not long after we got video cassettes. And I remember I was given $1,000, a budget of $1,000 to get video cassettes for the branch. And at that time, those early video cassettes cost around $90 a piece. So, you know, I was lucky if I got 10. We made the transition then from books on CD to books on tape, and books on, from books on tape to books on CD. And at the time we got the books on tape and CD, the collection was thought to be for the vision impaired. But it just blossomed and everybody enjoys them. I had a great pay raise and I went to full time. So that was great. I also got my cleaning lady back and I got a part-time page. I mean, I was having a ball. Fax machine came into the branch, and then not too long after that we entered into the age of the computer. I had not touched a computer before it came into the branch here. And I had to learn this on the job. The first day they put it in, I had a trainer with me in the morning, and then she left. And I was terrified. I was sure I was going to send off missiles or something. I mean, it was really scary. But a lot more training sessions followed, and technology advanced rapidly. I probably couldn't use half the things they have up there today. Along with the new technology came an addition to this branch. That was in 1990-91. And it was much needed because we had a children's program here, and something like 200 children came into this branch, and we didn't have this part of the library. And I was sure there was some stuffed in corner somewhere that closed because it was just packed. So the addition comes. And I experienced my first capital campaign to raise funds for the new branch. It was exciting times. I have to do this. Carolyn took this picture of me when we started construction. I want to tell you, I'm not the person standing in this picture. So you can pass that around and see. You can see how excited I was.
Oh, I see. That's pretty silly, isn't it?
It's pretty silly. Well, I was excited. I mean, it was a great day. And during that time, I got to meet Alex Haley, the author of Roots. There was a fundraiser at the Colonial Park Mall, and he was the guest speaker for us. And I got to meet him and shake his hand. That was great. But I will never forget the day the big equipment arrived here to start on the addition.
You look like a protester there.
No, I wasn't protesting. It did kind of look that way. And I was just so overjoyed. They started to dig with one of these great big digger things. And I was excited until they hit a water main. And we had water shooting up in the air all over the place. And that was only the beginning. They also hit an underground cable that took the electricity out of half of Elizabethville, including the Covered Bridge restaurant, which was serving lunch. So, but I was still excited. And we worked through that. Carolyn worked through that too. We were in, had lots of dust. Furniture was shoved together. Books, a lot of books were on the floor, and we tried to keep them in some kind of order. But it was great. It was great, and it was great to see the branch growing.
What year was that?
At 91,
Okay.
that was put on.
Yeah.
So then you had this basement part, and you had the children's room upstairs. That was what was added on. I thought maybe I'd close with a couple just funny incidents that happened. We had only two Halloween pranks when I was working here. I went out one evening and my windshield was covered with eggs and they had dried. And so that was interesting. And then one time we had toothpaste in the doorknobs and the keyholes were in the doorknobs. So that was, yeah, that was interesting.
She giving you ideas yet?
And one day a lady came in the library and she caught her husband with another woman.
Oh, in the library.
Oh,
In the library?
yes. I won't tell you who it is. And luckily they took their dispute out of the book. Goodness. I'm just telling you what to expect, Michael. And you know that clause in your job description that says other duties as assigned? Well, I came to the building one day and there was this horrible odor, like right outside the door. And I looked and there was a dead rabbit laying there. And I thought, well, we can't have this. And I didn't have anybody else there at the time. So I got a shovel and gave it a proper burial. Other duties as assigned. And one more incident. There was a man came in, he was looking for tax forms. And this was when we were doing construction. So there was a lot of mud outside and, you know, dirt, stones and whatever. And he came in on crutches and he stuck his crutch off of the sidewalk into the mud. And when he came in, he was irate. He was just, he was going ballistic. And his crutch tip had come off in the mud. And I'm thinking, you have to defuse this situation. And so I went out and groveled in the mud. And I got that crutch tip. And then he was a happy camper. This one isn't so funny. There was a break-in back in the early 80s. Someone came through a back window. So he tampered with a back window and came into the branch and went right to the circulation desk and tampered with the locked drawer where we kept what money we had here. And the reason we know they did that was because the branch was dark and they used matches to light their way. And they dropped those matches on the carpet.
Oh.
So there was a trail of matches and finger or handprints on the window. So that was not a good thing. But they didn't get in the drawer, so. But now you have alarms. So can't do that anymore. I was really lucky though, working here. I met so many new people, established new friendships, and I got to be around books. Some of my mentors were Susan Leitzel, my first supervisor, and Kathy Alloway, my last supervisor. She was a gem. Janet Danlinger was a good mentor. She helped me a lot at first with book selection. I mean, she was really good at that, and she gave me some help with that. And I actually went to the Millersburg librarian, Peg Bellis, if you remember her. She was really good with reference, and I took a lot of advice from her for reference. But I have to say, I think the best mentor for me was the former director of the library system, Rich Bowray, who just recently retired. He was so dedicated to the library system, and that was an inspiration to me. At one point, he promoted me to a regional branch administrator and allowed me to work at a job that I didn't really have the credentials for. And I will be forever grateful to him for that. And my claim to fame, though, has to be that I gave Rob Lesher his first library card, and he is now the director of the library. Someone once said, if you love what you're doing, and you're doing what you love, then you'll never work a day in your life. And I just felt that way when I worked here. And the library just continues to grow and march on, and I'm so happy about that. And friends groups are just the icing on the cake. So I thank you for.
You should mention that your husband helped build some of those bookmobiles.
Oh, yes, he did.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he worked with Slovak and Company.
Let me thank you. A little token of the Friends Appreciation.
You can give me a token.
Yes, we do have to give you a token of appreciation.
I got to see a lot of people that I didn't see for a while.
Mina, do you remember anything when Elizabethville, they had a library back in the 20s or 30s? Do you remember anything about?
Well, there were library stations of some kind. I know for a while it was in the elementary school,
Okay,
Mrs. Daniels.
okay.
And I know Ruth Cook told me that she remembers going to a library, a small library up, oh gosh, who's in that building now? Where Zerby had his barber shop,
Okay,
up in that area.
on Market Street.
Market Street, across from what was the Borough Building. That she remembered going there, but they weren't affiliated with the Dauphin County Library System.
Okay,
Well, that wasn't really existing at that point.
okay. We're working on the history of Elizabethville, as you know,
Yeah.
and we saw where there was a library of some sorts back in like 1925 or so.
Yeah, 25 was the first one.
You have to read this book.
Okay.
And then
So-
you said that the Evo branch here under the county opened in 71, correct? Okay.
Yeah,
You don't
that's
know
the
if-
first they were considered a branch of the Dauphin County Library System.
You don't know if all of the books that they had in, you know, these various houses or schools that formed the Elizabethville Library were then eventually moved into that library when it was established in 71?
I don't think so. I think everything came from the library system
Okay.
into there.
And today, out of the 7 libraries, we learned last month at our meeting from Ann that Elizabethville is 3rd in circulation. First
Wow.
is, help
East
me.
Shore.
East Shore, and then the Alexandra Library in Hummelstown, but.
Took over second
Elizabethville-
place from us.
Yes, but
Well, they had a
Elizabethville.
nice new
That's why when
building.
they said that, I said, we were always
We
second.
were always second.
But I think 3rd is great too, so it shows you people are using the library, and that's what we're all looking for.
Well,
Yes.
and there's 4 city libraries, so
That's tough to
Yeah.
compete with that,
Oh,
with the
yeah.
volume of population, so that means this library is well used. So thank you, Ms. Minor, we appreciate
We
that.
sure do.